Ford actually did it, it was a big deal 10, 12 years ago.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I say that the difference, tell the commission the difference between when we did the buildings that Tracy is in currently, there was a lot of drainage issues that had to be dealt with that. They actually came and pinned it to make sure the elevations were all right. They came back several times to do that type of work. This is only a meets and bounds survey.
The meets and bounds survey we had to have on the entire county building property. I'm not talking about the building. We had to have the meets and bounds survey. Under state law, we had to do it. I pitched a fit 8 different ways, and it was $6,800. And we had just had it done a year and a half before.
And that's good, I'm not arguing that point, but that's the difference, because I talked to Jim today, and he says it does not have to go before the planning commission or anything. We're actually just adding that 1/6 of an acre or 6/10 of an acre, whatever it is, to that intersection. And he said, you know, I can prove that in-house with no dealings with the state or anything, so. You know, but that's, again, it's up to you.
So are you saying we don't need a survey, or what are
I'm
you
saying you
saying?
do need a survey,
Okay, all
but it's
right.
not an elaborate survey like,
Okay, that's what I was trying to get across. Yeah.
no, he's comparing,
Greenback was where we talked about the survey. That will be exactly like the county office building. This one, I don't know nothing about a survey. It's state right of way and it's a tiny little place. I wouldn't think it would be an enormous amount of money. But if we touch it, if government touches it, it's always more than if it was just Joe citizen out there doing it.
Well, I still think we need a survey on it too. If you want meat to those numbers, you need a survey on it.
Basically, we need to know exactly what is right of way and exactly what we're buying. And
The very first map we had was all right of way. Now, I don't know if it's gotten bigger since then or moved or what it was, but the
no,
little
sir,
bit we needed on that
it's
pile
not,
there.
it was not all right away.
The
There
first
was a-
thing we saw was,
No,
Well, not the one I did, because if you
I don't
look
know
at
who
the
did.
wedge,
I don't have a clue who did.
because there was a wedge that wasn't, yeah.
the wedge is privately owned. And this wedge is just a little longer than the other one. I'm guessing, and I shouldn't be putting numbers out there, I know, but I'm guessing maybe $600 to $1,000 to get for him to do that. Because what we need to do is, where the fence comes up by their property, I want to come straight on across the wedge and take it to the Highway 11. And that gives us plenty of room for the banks and all that for the slope.
And Mayor, you're saying that tree needs to be taken down because if it falls, it'll fall on the new jail fence?
And it's not even involved in the wedge, it's way on up the hill from the wedge.
Yeah, but if it's already dead, we certainly don't need to be paying for a new fence.
I mean, it is for me to, this curtain off the fence too.
Do we need a motion to proceed with the survey, or, I guess,
She said she got it ordered.
okay.
She's gonna pay for out of jail funds.
That'll be, and we'll have, hopefully we'll have some good hard numbers from workshop, or harder numbers anyway.
Okay.
Did you say the tree is on their property, but it's up against close to our fence? Survey's not been
We
done
killed
yet.
him when we built the jail.
I think you leave it alone.
Okay.
If it's ordered, I think you leave it alone.
It's not
Well-
been completed yet, but it has been ordered, but I can call him and cancel it.
Is that something that we could at least, I know we had a dead tree over close to our place that was close to the Senior Citizen Center, and Brian Brown came over there and had somebody take it out. Is that a tree that we could go ahead and have taken out before it falls?
I can take that out too, with the directive from,
I feel more comfortable with Eddie's guys and.
yeah, we can take it down, I just need the directive from the mayor.
Is that something we could go ahead before it falls in and,
Yeah, I think we reach out to them, make sure they're all right with it.
Do not bother.
Where do they want the wood taken?
They'll have it cut up and hauled.
I think we just down it. I don't know if,
They want the
say
wood,
this
so
one.
we'll just stack the wood up right there next to the tree.
They just said something in his email about they wanted the wood or something. I figured we'd have to chop it up in cordwood and stack it and get it
no,
near the fire.
I think it would just take it.
Yeah, yeah.
Chop the tree and be done with it.
So can we get a directive maybe from you to, can we get a directive?
Absolutely. I know, you know, and when this all happened, they were upset, but they were pretty good about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and a good faith too would be to go ahead and get that tree out of the way.
It still has its leaves on it, so it's not gonna fall tomorrow. It still has last year's leaves on it, so
Well, why is it dead? I mean, who's saying it's dead then?
it's dead. You can
Look
tell it's
at it,
dead.
you get
But the dead leaves are still hanging there, Van.
The dead leaves.
Yeah.
Different
Okay.
story, dead leaves.
It's dead.
Dead leaves.
I had
They
a year.
were-
That fence killed it, right?
Go check it out.
I guarantee you, something we could do.
Check that pulse on that tree.
So we're not gonna vote on buying the property tonight.
I don't.
No, it's going to work workshop.
All right, number 3 under mine, and I will be quiet, is the $17,000 Homeland Security EMA grant. It's no match. and-
Make a motion to approve $70,000 no match grant.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the Homeland Security grant.
Where's that on there?
We added it. Okay.
Just one.
Any further discussion?
That's when Van had you distracted down there.
Any further discussion? Tammy, call the roll.
Oh, gee.
Money.
Satterfield.
Aye.
Whitfield.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Duff.
Aye.
Shaver. Brewster.
Aye.
Mears.
Aye.
Fairley.
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and
Thank
as a
you.
matter of note, President Trump has left Walter Reed and is in the White House.
Feel better than he did 20 years ago.
Susan Husky, tell me about Humana retiree insurance renewal.
It's good.
It's great.
Did it, Susan?
What's
I
that?
said, it's good. It couldn't be.
I'm just thankful that it's there. Request approval of the retirees' insurance. It was a decrease of $37.60 per employee per month.
I make a motion that we accept.
Take down the motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
It's not often you get a reduction in insurance.
No, not at all. Any further comments? Okay, that's involving money, so we gotta call the roll.
Whitfield.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Duff.
Aye.
Shaver.
Brewster.
Aye.
Mears.
Aye.
Fairley.
Aye.
Satterfield.
Aye. Feel like Mike Leach down Mississippi State.
Just one say aye.
Okay. Shall we ask Van when he comes back, yes or no?
We got 7, that's all we need, let's go.
We've got 7, keep rolling.
That's a football game.
Okay. Kelly Littleton Brewster.
Like I kind of said at the beginning, I'll keep this really short. We do want to come back at the workshop and talk about the amendment and the contract. So I want everybody to be prepared. We are asking that, that the commission give us support or some kind of letter stating our intentions to, if we are supportive of the amendment or if we are not supportive. I will tell you that I have had some word that Loudon City is in the process of looking into possibly taking the landfill over themselves. So they're doing some due diligence and doing some research about riding the contract out and then taking control of the landfill. So be sure to look over your things. We'll be at the workshop and we can answer some more questions. Richard, if you'll shoot me an email about some of your questions, I'll go ahead and get those on the ball too.
Kelly, one thing, did you have someone share, what's the, what, if you could please, on all of the
Next one.
Yes. Yes, I will.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if y'all heard me or not, I voted on that humanity language, I voted aye.
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay.
That was a good impersonation. Kelly,
Yeah.
she sounded just like
This,
you.
Okay. All right, next up.
Yeah, better.
That'll be on the agenda for the workshop. Do Commissioner Shaver.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Four-way stop. I talked to Eddie about this a couple of months ago now. Talked to a couple of law enforcement, talked to some folks that live in the area. And I'll tell you, couldn't come at a better time since they closed Simpson Road. The traffic out there has quadrupled now. I mean, it is scary coming through there. This is only a vote to say to Eddie, yes, we'd like to have a four-way stop. It's a two-way now set up at the intersection of Town Creek and Shaw Ferry. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Okay, we got a motion to put the four-way stop sign and refer to Eddie Simpson, the highway superintendent. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, if it's okay. Eddie, you for this?
It is okay, Commission, I wouldn't do it through the, highway department because we have a policy that we do not put stop signs on the through street. So I told Van, the only way I felt comfortable in doing it without changing our policy and getting in trouble there is to have county commission to direct us to do it, and then we'll do it. That way you get to take the flag if you get a lot of calls.
I think we'll get a lot of happy calls is what I
Well,
think.
and that's good if you do. That's
Boy,
good.
it's got,
Has a roundabout been considered instead of stops?
Takes a lot of land. It probably would be a good place to put a roundabout, but it would take a lot of land right there to do it.
Yeah.
It takes about 120-foot circle.
I got hung up on one of them things over the weekend, like you never got.
So is that a second directive?
no.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to refer the four-way stop sign to Eddie Simpson and the highway department. Any further discussions?
Put a little sign there that says by order of county commission.
Van Shaver.
Van
Yes.
Shaver.
I'll let
Okay, all
Van
in
Shaver
favor
stop.
signify by saying aye.
Is it just?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Eddie, as we talked before, when you do it being new, something on either end of Town Creek to say like new stop sign or something like that.
We'll put a stop sign prior to.
Yeah.
With a thing ahead, stop
Yeah,
ahead.
that temporarily anyhow.
It'll be tire marks all the way through that intersection.
I'm telling you, man, I come through there twice a day, and both times, the going up the hill there on Shaw Ferry, it was backed up all the way up that hill right there. It's hairy now that Simpson Road's closed. So much more traffic coming through there. All right,
Motion passed.
my second one, Mr. Chairman, it's been discussed, it's remove the designation of the workhouse on the jail that's been there since 1972, I think it was. I'll put that in form of motion.
Okay, we got a motion to remove the workhouse designation.
Second.
We got a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, we got one no. Okay, that motion passed. Okay.
That's all of mine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Tracy Blair, tell us about the budget amendments.
Thank you, sir. The first item on the agenda is consideration of recommendation to approve application and acceptance of $14,410 EFRA grant. This is part of the CARES program, is for coronavirus relief for the senior center. The Budget Committee recommends approval.
Mr. Chairman, as a member of the Budget Committee, been discussed in the workshop, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second on the motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, there's money involved, we got to call the roll.
Colin,
Aye.
Duff,
Aye.
Shaver,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley,
Aye.
Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield.
Second item is consideration of recommendation to approve application and acceptance of $5,000 high visibility enforcement of Tennessee traffic safety laws. There are no matching funds.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a second.
Is that Satterfield?
That's Satterfield. Any further discussion? Okay, again, there's money involved, call the roll.
Duff,
Aye.
Shaver,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley,
Aye.
Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield,
Aye.
Colin.
Aye.
Is Adam still sitting? Or is it-
He was here last month, yeah, he's out sick tonight. I told him he got the phone, he said no.
The next item is consideration of recommendation to approve application and acceptance of $39,500 EMPG grant. This is the grant that offsets the expenses of the EMA operating budget.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve that grant.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the EMPG grant for Homeland Security. Any further discussion? Again, there's money involved, call the roll.
Shaver,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley,
Aye.
Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield,
Aye.
Colin,
Aye.
Duff.
Aye.
The next item is consideration of recommendation to restore requested appropriations for equipment budgets in the operating budgets. Commission will recall that during preparation of the current year budget, we received notification that the state would provide a grant, and it was to be specifically utilized for capital purchases. Now, those requirements have been removed. However, the Budget Committee maintained its recommendation to receive and expense these funds in general capital projects. Along with that, the operating budgets for equipment purchases were removed in anticipation of appropriating these requests out of the grant from the state. And that's the way the current year budget was adopted. At the September 21st Budget Committee meeting, this was discussed, and it was determined that it really is appropriate to restore these operating budgets in the departmental budgets, because the purpose of these requests really is for operating purposes, not necessarily large capital purchases. You've received a copy of a spreadsheet, that spreadsheet. It was distributed to all members of County Commission
Tonight?
at the workshop.
Okay,
The
okay.
workshop. And the Budget Committee's recommendation is to restore budgets. It's a total of $120,483 in the county general fund, $1,000 in public libraries, $6,500 in the highway department fund, for a total of $127,983 in all three funds. And again, this is for operating costs. Departments will budget $2,000 or $3,000 in office equipment in case a printer goes down, or in case a computer station goes down. And so this is the Budget Committee's recommendation.
That's the best funded line item in the budget.
Other. Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion, we approve this, and, I know this is a hard question, I'll wait till we get a second.
Second.
Uh,
We got a motion and a second.
I know this is a tough question. At some point, this will have to be reflected back into our budget.
It will.
And I know that's gonna take a little while, I'm sure, to get everything put back in the budget.
It will.
But when we do get it, if we can get a copy of that, that would be nice to have our true final adopted budget.
It may be included in the spreadsheet that will be presented to you at our October Budget Committee meeting.
Okay.
If there are amendments in the county general fund, there usually are. But of course, if this passes this evening, this, along with everything else that has passed this fiscal year prior to this, will show up in that spreadsheet as approved amendments. So all of the adjustments will be there. If that makes sense.
You got a lot of confidence, get a lot done between now and
It's a
October
lot,
meeting.
but we're working on it.
Who was the second?
Satterfield.
Satterfield.
Well, I second too, but
Okay.
We have a co-second.
we
Co-second.
co-second at the same time, but that's fine.
Any further discussion on this item? Again, there's some money involved, so call the roll.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley,
Aye.
Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield,
Aye.
Colin,
Aye.
Duff,
Aye.
Shaver.
Aye.
And the next item on the agenda is consideration of some budget amendments in county general, public libraries, general purpose school, and school federal projects. The Budget Committee recommends approval of all of these.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Second on the motion.
We got a motion and a second.
And guess what?
Satterfield made it.
Through the previous one.
your second.
What?
We don't have to do the reading.
That's what I just noticed, no
Because
complications.
I'm an.
Oh, man,
Is this for?
Oh, Tinker's not here.
that's for all of them.
That's the
You're
first time
doing
in
them
7
all?
meetings.
That's for A through D.
A through D. Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments from the Budget Committee. Any further discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley,
Aye.
Satterfield.
Aye.
Whitfield.
Aye.
Poland.
Because I'm not an employee, aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Jeff. Sorry. Tickle.
All right.
And finally, I would request the records to reflect that copies of approved budget committee meeting minutes for the July and August meeting were distributed prior to the meeting, along with a summary financial statement through the beginning of September. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, next up is, are you ready? David Mears.
Mr. Chairman, reading bonds and others, last names, I'm trying to shorten this possibility. Engel, Clark, C. Guerin, J. Guerin, Jeffrey, John, Johnson, Jones, Kimbrough, McKee, Major, Myers, Rice, Kimbo, Vaughn, Williams.
Second.
We got a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all-
Races on.
any further comments? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
What's it cost to be a note?
$33.90.
$33.90.
There you
Well,
go.
it's $14. I'll sign you up tomorrow.
How long are they good for?
Is it a year?
4 years.
That's what I just asked him. I said, you know, in the time that I have sat here, half of Loudon County has become a notary.
I think.
I just see from time to time people ask me about a notary
Hey.
where I live, and I thought,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I got a
second.
motion, do I got a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Have a good evening.